Welcome to the Technical Feature Enablement video for Digital Operational Resilience Act, also known as DORA, support. This feature is now generally available as of the 2025.05.1.0 release, also known as the 2025 Spring release. This video reflects OneTrust's current expectations for product capabilities, but dates and features may be subject to change and should not be relied upon when making purchasing decisions. Let's get started. Support for DORA reporting is a new capability available for customers on the new solution package for third-party risk management. If you're not familiar with DORA, this is a new regulation that went live earlier this year in Europe. It requires financial institutions to map out their supply chain and the different information and communication technology, ICT, third-party service providers they utilize, and where they sit in that supply chain. With the new capability, we've added a new entity framework and over 150 new attributes across multiple objects to directly support the DORA reporting requirements. In addition to these new attributes, we've also built in reporting that generates a one-to-one match with what the ESA is expecting our customers to submit. A few items to note about the new DORA features. First, while the attributes now exist for DORA reporting, you must still modify or create new assessment templates to gather the required attributes. Additionally, to see these updates, customers must be subscribed to our new solution packaging. Let's look at this in more detail. To start, the first enhancement we've made is the ability to manage legal entities within the third-party risk management workspace. Within OneTrust, I will navigate to third-party risk management and click on Entities under the Inventory section of the navigation. Here, you'll be able to start mapping out the hierarchy of your organization, from the holding company and subsidiaries to the individual branches, departments, or functions that belong to each. To illustrate this, if I click Add New, you can see where I specify the name of the entity, the OneTrust organization where it is tracked, the primary operating location, and the type of entity. With the list of entities in place, I can click on an entity, in this case Zentoso Australia, scroll to the Related Entities box, and add the relationships between all my entities. For example, I can relate Zentoso Australia Branch 1 as a branch to this parent company. Additionally, from the Related tab, you can also map relationships between the entities as needed. For example, I can map all the ICT third-party service providers that relate to Zentoso Australia. I would also like to call out the data graph, which quickly shows you the relationships between your entities once you've built out these relationships. As mentioned previously with this release, we've added many new attributes specifically to help with DORA information gathering. From within third-party management, I'll click on Attribute Manager and select Legal Entity Attributes. Looking at the attribute groups, I'll scroll down and you can see we've now pre-staged attributes specifically related to the DORA Register of Information and grouped them together so they're easier to find and manage. We've also pre-seeded attributes for the other object types required in DORA reporting. For instance, let's look at vendor attributes. Clicking on the attribute group again, you'll see the DORA Register of Information group with the relevant attributes for vendors. Other objects with similar attributes and groups are engagements, third parties, contracts, and nth parties. To get all this information into the tool, there are multiple methods of sourcing the relevant information. As an example, I'll start with the vendors list, click the ellipsis button, and click on Bulk Update. As an illustration, I'll download and open the Update Vendors template and open it. Scrolling to the right, you'll find a number of ICT-related fields that help populate the required information for DORA reporting. To upload the completed spreadsheet, simply click on Bulk Import in Settings and then select New Import. Be sure to select the correct import type, such as creating versus updating, and also vendors versus entities versus contracts, and so on. Another method of sourcing the ICT information is through assessments. First, let's look at an example assessment template that helps collect these details. As you can see here in the list of templates, I've created a sample vendor assessment template. In the template, I've added a section specifically to help guide the respondent through completing some of the required DORA attributes. Note that I've kept the question list small for brevity in this video. With this template published, I can browse to assessments and launch an assessment. I'll choose my vendor DORA questionnaire assessment template. I'll name this assessment and assign it to myself as a respondent and approver for simplicity. You can see we're now looking at the assessment. Notice how I'm now prompted to add in the additional DORA details for the specific vendor. Once I'm done adding in the additional detail and submit the assessment, it can move to review, and upon approval, the attributes I've submitted get updated in the vendor record. To illustrate this, I'll quickly browse to the vendor record and scroll down to the details for the vendor. If you remember, the question I submitted an answer to was for the country of the ICT third-party service provider's headquarters. You can see the answer is now completed in the vendor details as a result of the assessment. The next thing I'd like to showcase is the DORA-related updates to engagements. I'll browse to engagements and select one of my ICT third-party providers, such as the Atlassian Confluence Cloud engagement. Remember, we can use the assessment capability to gather the required DORA information. Here, you can see a number of assessments already completed or in progress related to this engagement, but I can launch new assessments from the context menu in the top right corner to collect additional DORA-related information. Additionally, we've made the Related tab